Welcome to This Is My Story, a podcast dedicated to sharing your story and how God has helped you take next steps in your journey of faith. I'm your host, Austin Carrick, and let's dive into today's story. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into today's story. Today, we are joined by Hunter Wood, who is a worship and production director for Victory Church. We are so excited to have you with us today, Hunter.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to dig into some of your story and just what your testimony in your life has looked like from growing up in a Christian family, growing up in faith, and then just having a family health crisis that kind of just shook some things for you. So really excited to dig into that today and just hear how God has worked in your life. So Hunter, tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing. What was that like?
Yeah, so I grew up in a Christian household in Connecticut. So I grew up in New England. Shout out to Connecticut. Love Connecticut.
Are you a Patriots fan?
Yes.
Is that a thing? A lot of
so
people
don't even talk football with my family because every single person in my family has a different opinion on football.
Interesting.
So we just don't talk about it. Grew up at a Baptist church. My dad was very, very active in the church. So he served on the trustee board, which trustees at our church were people who took care of the building, so maintenance. And then he also helped out as a deacon, which to Victory Church would be an elder.
Okay.
He was my influence when it came to serving the church. I got involved at a very young age. I think I was 10 years old when I first started running audio for our Sunday morning services and changing the slides for the worship team there. And then I loved to do hands-on things. I loved technology. That was kind of where I hung out the most, was basically in the production area. Went to school at a technical high school and learned the electrical trade.
Okay. So like an electrician, like a home electrician, that's what it would be like?
Home, commercial. So when you go to this school, these types of schools, they teach you everything electrical, and then you can kind of pick where you want to go out of there. So you could be a residential electrician, you could be a commercial electrician.
So that would be like running house lights and things like that. Okay.
Yeah, I've wired multiple houses.
So what was your career path at that point? What were you really looking to do with your life?
I wanted to be an electrician, had just so much fun with it. And then one Sunday after church, this is kind of where that whole thing changed. I think I was only in 10th grade. So I was a sophomore, so I was just not even halfway through my high school experience. We were out to eat, and I told my mom that I wanted to buy a guitar, and they laughed.
So this just came out of the blue.
Yeah, I was like, I think I want to learn guitar. I don't know what.
Was it at least electric guitar? That would make a little sense.
No, I said I wanted to buy an acoustic guitar and be able to help out and lead with the worship team. And my parents laughed a little bit because I played trumpet all throughout elementary school.
I played trumpet in elementary as well.
Yeah.
I tried recently as an adult picking it up, and it was horrific.
Yeah, I tried it not too long ago. Yeah. It was bad.
No, not great.
No turning
so
back.
If there's any other fellow trumpeteers listening from the elementary days, if you really want to be disappointed in yourself, bust it out. It's a good laugh. It's a really good time.
So yeah, I had gotten enough time in school to practice, so I didn't practice a whole ton at home. It was the point where my parents never saw me play trumpet unless there were school concerts. You can play. So they laughed really hard because I never practiced music at all. But the second I got that guitar, I was able to convince them in less than a week. So we went out. I used money I had saved up. I didn't even have a job yet. So I used money that I had saved up. I think some of it was even tooth fairy money from when I was a kid. I had a little wad of cash on the side. So I saved up money, went out, bought this guitar, and then just did not put it down. My fingers would bleed. I would play so much. But I just loved it so much. I had a connection to that, and that's kind of just started. I started leading in my youth group.
Gave you a love for music.
Gave me a love for music, and through going to multiple, this is why, so shout out to youth ministry at any church. Churches need to have a successful youth ministry because that's where my love for worship and my understanding of what worship was really came out of me. And I was able to help lead and coach students by my senior year. What it meant to lead worship.
Yeah, so just in that short time frame, you were able to get some of those things down with the guitar, start using those giftings and leading in high school. That's really cool.
Yep.
So you said you had to convince your parents to get a guitar.
Yes.
What was your relationship like with your parents growing up? So it sounds like your dad was very involved in the church. What was your relationship with your mom? What was your family dynamics like?
Very strong from the beginning. I've always been, my parents are always my go-to. If I have advice, I always go to them first.
Yeah,
Never a
that's beautiful.
hesitation. I would always remember coming home from elementary school. My mom would have a snack ready for me. I'd jump up on the counter and she'd sit with me, talk me through my day, and help me with homework. So very close. Absolutely love my family. Shout out to my parents. They're the best.
So your mom was very much a rock for you growing up,
Yes.
and just somebody you can confide in, somebody who helped nurture and lead you like a good mother.
Yep.
That's awesome. Oh,
Yep.
I love that. I love that. So you're leading worship at youth group in high school. So what does that transition look like then? You're feeling this heart for worship and your heart for leading others in that. What's your next step then as you're graduating high school?
Yep. So when I was younger, I never wanted to leave home, but I felt this little pull. The music director from my home church, she went to Lancaster Bible College, and I found out they had a worship program. So I looked into that, fell in love with the school, and to everyone's shock, moved away from Connecticut, 6 hours southwest.
So is this like small town life you're talking about, living in Connecticut, or is it pretty?
It's pretty built up now.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a very big Navy area. So
Okay. So is that what
yeah.
most people do? They're out of high school step might be joining.
It's a
the Navy?
very trade based area.
Okay.
It's a very hard working trade based area.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Okay.
So lots of.
So not a lot of musical influence in that area into your life.
Not a whole ton. No, I mean there were like different groups at school that I could get involved with.
Yeah.
Like, there was a choir and a concert band, and
Yep.
but there wasn't a whole ton. So
Yeah.
that was kind of just God kind of put that on my heart. And I took every music opportunity that I could. I also DJ'd a little bit in high school, so that was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you have like a DJ name or anything, or
Nope.
no?
Nope.
Not like DJ Hunter.
I was Hunter. How original is that, right?
They're like, and next up, Hunter.
Yep.
And then you're like, yeah. Is that what it was like?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. What a heart for music you have.
Mm.
So you're then interested at this point in coming to Lancaster Bible College.
Yep.
So what was that process of discovering Lancaster Bible College? I know you said you'd known somebody that had went there.
Right.
What was that like then? Like, how did you know, like, this is what the Lord has for me?
It just like everything kind of fell in place. Like the finances fell in place. I was growing. I was deepening my relationship with Christ, deepening in my ability to lead youth as well. So I was a student leader in my senior year of high school.
Did you apply to other colleges, or were you like, this is it?
I think this was the only one that I had actually like gone all the way through.
Oh, wow.
Because I had such a strong pull to LBC.
Yeah.
So I actually applied, and then a couple weeks later heard back, and we toured the school before that. Absolutely fell in love with the school, fell in love with Lancaster County. So made that transition. It was very easy for me to make that decision because at the same time I just wasn't feeling content from wiring the houses like I thought I was going to. Like
Yeah.
it got just as something that I did because it was just the opportunity I had, so I took it.
Yeah.
I didn't really have the passion, kind of dwindled on that a little bit. I don't think getting shocked by dryer outlets helped.
No,
So
I'm sure that did not.
But I was like, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 20.
Wow. So you come to Lancaster Bible College, you get accepted. What was that experience like then? How did you expand on that heart of worship that you had stirring inside of you?
So LBC gave so many opportunities, and shout out to Lancaster Bible College for all the opportunities they give their students. It is a very hands-on school. I had tons of different internships, tons of different classes that helped teach me, and professors that really invested in me. So the ratio to student and professor is very low there. I can't quote exactly what it is. I think it's like 1-7 or something. So it's a small college overall. It's not
Yeah.
like a 30,000 person.
But that's
college.
a great opportunity then for those professors and those teachers to really invest in individuals then instead of a mass class that they're walking through.
One of the biggest things they taught us from right up in the front, they're like, the first weekend we were there, get involved with a local church. That is where you get poured into and you get to pour out into other people. And I went to a church in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, that first Sunday. Ephrata Bible Fellowship Church was the name. And I ended up having a 3-year internship with them. So I was able to fulfill all my school requirements at this church, leading alongside other pastors and other worship leaders.
Yeah.
So I was
learning under their belt.
insanely
Yeah,
blessed
that's
by
awesome.
that. Yeah.
I love that. I
Yep.
love that. So that's 2018. You moved to Pennsylvania, Lancaster Bible College. At what point did you get involved in where you're currently on staff right now?
Yes. So I was a I was ending my junior year. So I was on staff for my last year of college. So I just graduated this past year, 2022. So I jumped in to, I interviewed here, and the process I just felt was, I felt really at peace with the process. I was overall nervous to start because I was like, how am I going to balance leading a church and worship well while I'm also still going to school full time? But shout out to Victory Church. They worked really well with me and
that's
my
awesome.
schedule and ability. So I was able to kind of jump in a little early, and I was able to fulfill my final class requirements.
So how were your parents feeling at this point? They're like, our baby boy, he moved from Connecticut. He's down in Pennsylvania now.
Yeah.
It's funny because I never think of Pennsylvania as down from anywhere, as like a south, but
Yeah.
down from Connecticut.
Yep.
How are they feeling for you?
I think they're still getting used to it.
Yeah.
Because everyone in that family is up there. They all live really close together. But God has me here for a purpose, and we're trusting in that and believing that great things are still to come out of it. Great things have come out of it already. And we're excited to see what God's going to do moving forward still.
That's awesome. So at this point in 2021, you joined staff at Victory Church. You are a worship and production director. And one thing that I'm hearing in this story is like you went to this school to be an electrician, and like you learn these odd things that most people don't know, but like God's using that in you in production. Like that's giving you some insights into how specific things work, how things wire. So like he doesn't waste anything, which is so incredible.
No, so we actually learned how to pull data cables and Ethernet cables, all the things that you need for internet to work. And I actually, the second part of what I do here at Victory, the second part of my role is helping out with our IT systems. So if anyone has a problem with their computer or something in their office, IT related, I'm usually one of the first ones to respond. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're on this trajectory, you're getting ready to graduate, you're in a role that you love, you're thriving, you're doing all these things, and something happens. So tell us a little bit about what happened in August of 2022, how your life changed.
Yeah, so I'll kind of jump back to May. So I graduated from LBC in May of 2022. So my parents were out, we celebrated, they went back to Connecticut, and then I believe they came out for my birthday, and they came out one other time. The third time they came out, I always, like, again, we were super close family, so they would always like get a bigger hotel room, and I would always just spend the whole time they were there with them. I loved it because I got to spend some time in some hotels just for fun. But I was also with my parents.
Feels like the life of luxury when you're at a hotel.
I know, right? Because they had to get a hotel every time they came out. So my parents broke the news to me the time they came in, I believe it was in August. Don't quote me on that. It might have been late July. That she was diagnosed with an aggressive tumor in the back of her spine. So where the spine and her neck bones kind of meet up in that area, there was a pretty large tumor that doesn't have a very high success rate with surgery. It's a very painful surgery to go through. She had, I think, over 18 hours of surgery. So it was multiple days of surgery. So she was still trying to decide what she wanted to do, because there's knowing how much pain and how much of this was going to be ahead of her. Yeah. Like, I don't think she was 100% convinced if she wanted to even go through the surgery or just kind of live life as comfortably as she could for as long as she could. Yeah. So fast forward a little bit, they scheduled the surgery. She decided that she wanted to go through it she said it was for my dad and then my brother and I. She wanted to try everything that they could to prevent the illness from taking her early. So I was involved. This story was so cool. I was involved in the worship and prayer night last August. It was just a couple days before her surgery. She couldn't make it down because I guess there was a little bit of COVID infections going up, and she could not get COVID, or else the surgery would be. So she had to stay home and isolate for the few weeks before her surgery so that she wasn't exposed to anything. But my heart was very heavy going into that night. And something we coach our teams in is you're never going to find a person who comes up on stage and always feels 100% prepared for something. Yeah. You're going to have those weeks where you feel off. You're going to have those weeks where you don't feel like leading, but you need to rely on the power of Jesus to get you through that.
Absolutely.
So that was me that night. Like, I did not feel prepared to get up on stage and lead our tribe in worship, knowing just there was so much questioning going on in my mind. It was a constant, why God, why are you putting my family, my really close family through this? But then I had the opportunity to lead a song that I have led so many times here at Victory. We praise you. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. And I just felt it was so surreal. I felt this kind of like cool air upon me. I don't know what was happening, but all the fear just kind of just like vanished. I was like, no, I have a God who's going to carry us through as a family through this. And it was so surreal. I've never experienced the presence of God that like direct.
Yeah.
But I felt his presence just like come around me. And there was just this boldness that like I started the night down here and it just kept going up and up and up and up and up. And yeah, God was able to help me lead through that moment. And I believe that God did some incredible things in the room that night.
Yeah.
He always shows us something new during our 21 days of prayer, which we have twice a year. And yeah, he definitely helped me through that night. And just the support also of he placed me in this role here at Victory. I definitely wasn't meant to be alone during this time.
Yeah.
So God provided an incredible staff team who was able to just come around me, come around my family.
Yeah,
constantly
awesome.
being in prayer for my mom. I was constantly posting updates. We have a church that prays so hard for people, and that was such a blessing for me and my family. My dad was overwhelmed with emotion when he heard that our lead pastor keeps asking about how my mom is doing. So
wow.
Shout out to Pastor Kurt and Pam and just everyone at Victory Church for making us feel loved and praying through us through that season.
Yeah. So that's August 2022. You feel this just fresh touch of the Holy Spirit, and you're saying like you feel that peace in your heart and in your life. So for your mom, what does her medical journey then look like after that night then, and how did the Lord guide you through that?
Yeah. So the Sunday night worship night, it was a Sunday night, I believe. There was a couple days before her surgery, so we left that night. I was able to actually sneak home for a short time after that worship night just to go visit her before her surgery. Made sure we were constantly swapping ourselves for COVID, making sure we didn't have anything to bring her. So we spent a couple days with her. We went back. We had to be back before her surgery. But then that Wednesday, she went in for surgery. So I woke up they took her in at like 5 a.m. So I set an alarm for, I think it was just after 4 a.m. So I was able to FaceTime her one more time, knowing that this was going to be the last time I could communicate with my mom for a while, because they did a massive incision down the front and down the back, and it completely took away her voice for months. And she wouldn't be anywhere in the mental space to be able to talk for a while. So knowing that, we just spent some time, and then she went in for surgery that morning. We were spending all day in prayer. That was a day that I was at the edge of my seat all day. It helped actually coming to work. God has blessed me with a place where I love to come in and come to work every day. So that really definitely helped. 8 o'clock that night, we were just finishing up worship rehearsal at our campus. And my dad called and they said that the first surgery was great. They're going to give her a period of rest the next day, and then they're going to go back in Friday. So we jumped to Friday. And
so for another surgery, is that what it was?
To finish it up. They said it was going well, but they had more to get. So they went in on the other side on Friday saying it could be another big length of time. I think they went in around 8 a.m. that time. But by lunchtime, they called us, and my dad told me that they got all the cancer out.
Wow.
And they didn't think they were going to get that out.
Wow.
Like, it was a lot of cancer cells in there. And she had a long recovery period. Like, she's still recovering to this day, but she's feeling a lot better.
That's incredible. Yeah. And like, what would you say to somebody who's like you, a family member walking alongside somebody who's so dear, so important to them? How would you encourage that person that's walking alongside of a parent, of a loved one, of somebody who's walking through a health crisis like this?
Devoting your time to prayer and worship. Not just one, but both of those. Worshiping God for all that he has given you, all that he has allowed you to walk through already, and trusting and knowing what's to come, that God's plan is perfect, that even when we feel like we're at our dead end, God still is going to carry us through and continue to bring us through to completion, as he says. and trusting and knowing that he knows your prayer request, but he wants you to have that relationship with him and have that trust in him. So no matter what the prayer is, whatever is going on in your life, bring it to prayer first. Don't look for a solution first. Start with prayer.
Yeah.
And then through prayer, see where he takes you from there.
That's so good. Then this year you had a big moment in your life.
Yes.
I know your mom has been such a rock and such a support for you. Tell us about that. What was your big day like? What was your big day and what was it like then having mom there?
Yes. So I met my now wife at Lancaster Bible College. We had a 2-year engagement, so we were engaged for a while. We had set the date a couple months before her cancer diagnosis. So throughout the entire diagnosis, we had no idea if she was going to make it through to the wedding, if she was going to even be in the space to be able to be there, mental space and physical space. But she was there for the entire day.
That's
she was
awesome.
feeling great.
Oh.
So yeah, we got my wife and I, Allie, we got married in April this past year.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
What an exciting thing. And like, what a testimony of God's goodness, where when it seems like at times all hope might be lost.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, continue to press in, continue to pray because God's got bigger plans.
Yeah. And God's going to reveal it to you in his time. You just have to trust in his time.
That's incredible. Well, Mama Wood, we love you. We're praying for you still. We hope you're doing great. And thank you everybody for just tuning into this episode and just hearing what God has done in Hunter's life. And just continuing to reveal to Hunter and just his family and the way that he's being used to reach those in that just heart of worship. So thank you, Hunter, for being with us today. It was such an honor to spend some time with you, get to hear your story some. And just everyone listening, we love you guys. Be praying. Like Hunter said, pray first. Like when you're walking in those trials, like that's what's going to carry you through is just that trust in the Lord. So we hope you guys have a great week. Be blessed. Thank you for joining us on this episode of This Is My Story. Hearing these incredible accounts of God's work in our lives reminds us of the enduring power of faith. If you've been moved by these stories, don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and on YouTube. And don't forget to share the inspiration with others who might need it. This Is My Story is recorded at Victory Church in the heart of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. You can learn more about This Is My Story and Victory Church in the show notes. Thank you for listening and be blessed.